Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the Equestrian's OnForm Coaching Show number 6. I think it's number 6. I asked Georgia earlier if it was coaching show number 5 or 6, and she said, no, it's at 5, but I think that was time rather than number. But we are flying along. And Gear, all well with you?
Yes, very good, Sam. I'm in Colorado as usual. It's nice warm summer here, and we're finally getting back to showing horses this next weekend. Things are kicking back up, so I'm looking forward to that.
Exciting. I'm out tomorrow, Gear. First competition back in action. Eventing Ireland kicking off tomorrow. 5 horses I've got. I think I've got 3% of the starters I think I've got 5 out of 150. Wow. So I'm going to be busy. I'm going to have a good, and I'm not allowed too much of a team either. So Sparks is going to be busy tomorrow. But Gear, we have a guest. I am delighted to welcome everybody. Anyone who's watching the show live, you can see her sitting, smiling and patiently waiting. Amy Blount, welcome to the coaching show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Amy, you have been flying with OnForm. It's been great, but tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us, how long you've been coaching, what people don't even know if this is jumping fences or doing the flashy dancing stuff. So tell everyone about yourself.
Okay, so I am a dressage coach. I'm based in Hampshire in the UK. And yeah, I mean, I didn't actually originally, I've probably been coaching like 15 years now, which is a bit scary. So I feel a bit old now. But I started coaching quite young, came up through the pony club and things and loved it. But I actually grew up not doing dressage specifically. In fact, I hated it. Wanted to jump. I did endurance a lot. I loved race riding. That was really cool. And yeah, I was born in a horsey family. We bred horses. We had a thoroughbred stallion. So I just did what they were good at. And then suddenly dressage became quite influential on the whole eventing side. And I sort of started doing it, quite enjoyed producing horses. And then I decided that I was going to do horses as a living. So I sort of set up by myself, and then somebody was like, no, you need to go and work on a professional yard. And it was a dressage yard, although they did produce event horses as well. So I jumped all their 4-year-olds and things, which was quite cool. And then, living on a groom's wage, you can't really go eventing that much. So I had to conform. Me and my Anglo-Arab conformed and did dressage. I sort of got into it, and I loved the coaching side of it, kept it up whilst I was at that yard. And then I actually got kicked in the knee whilst working there. So I had to have keyhole. So whilst I was off with my leg, I started coaching more. I think my passion for it just grew and grew. So yeah, I set up by myself 5 years ago now. Stayed in Hampshire and kept building it really.
Cool. I love the diversity. I've been looking at endurance a little bit over the last few years. Being a data guy, I love all the time splits and the recovery times and the heart rate and all that sort of stuff. But it's cool. I think that all round diverse background as well. Really, I think it's a great asset to a coach as well, because you're picking at things from other areas. When we started aiming for Tokyo, which was meant to be in about a month's time, we knew it was going to be hot out there. So even going through the physical training for athletes and looking at that, learning that, it opens your eyes to, this would apply to the horses. This would be a better way of doing it as well. So interesting. So my first question for you, and we can go through these, but were you looking for something like OnForm before it arrived? Is this something you wanted to do, or did it all just coincide perfectly with the global crisis, as it were?
It was. So I teach a lot all around. So I do a lot of traveling to different counties. I go to the Isle of Wight monthly. I do a lot of traveling around. And I couldn't really physically fit anything more in for my clients, but I wanted to provide more support for them. But I didn't really know how that was going to work without seeing them more. But I couldn't fit that in because it's more driving time, it's more time away from the yard, it's less time riding. All of these things weren't really adding up, but I had no idea how I was going to go forwards from that. So then, then it kind of sort of coincided with the whole COVID thing. And I had started doing a bit of video analysis, as that was kind of the thing to do to try and keep everybody happy and doing stuff. But I just did it with a feedback sheet. They sent me like a 5-minute video, and I just sent them a feedback sheet, and people did really like that. But it just wasn't as easy for me, and it was so time consuming, so time consuming that I actually couldn't really, I was ending up spending quite a lot of time doing that, not really for the benefit. And people loved it, but then once they've read their sheet, that's it. It's kind of gone, and that was it really. So yeah, OnForm was a good step. And when I watched actually like a couple of these and saw it, and I was like, well, I'm going to give it a try because it's free at the moment and there's no loss. So yeah, I thought I'd give it a go. Watched the webinar that said about the packages. So I was like, right, I'm just going to trial some people, because I'm really lucky. I changed all my booking to online last year. So I have an app that people can book through, and it also creates a little bit of a community. So over COVID, I'd actually created some clinic groups in there, so they could chat things through, and I was putting exercises of the week in there and things to keep them busy. So I had direct access to them, rather than on Facebook, where it can get a little bit lost in everybody, and also it's picky and choosy about what it shows to people. So I just put a message out on there to people that were already on my app. I'm going to try this video analysis. I'm going to give you 50% off packages, and let's see how it goes. And that's what we did.
What is the bookings app, Amy? Sounds interesting. Wix. Yeah, Wix. That's cool. That's what I did my website. I say I did my website on. That's what Derm did my website on. And Georgia, she's looking at me as well. No, useful though. That I think that's a good tip in itself as well for that organization is really important, and the communication and the access to people, like that's a huge part of it. It's getting your message out there, making it, people being able to check your availability without trying to book a lesson, taking 10 text messages back and forth.
Literally.
Does Tuesday work? No. Well, let's try Friday. What about no. But Gear, making that feedback easy, that is exactly what you had in mind, wasn't it, with this? That's what it's all about.
That's exactly it. The main feedback loop that we had in our head as we were building it was the whole, hey, client, send me a video of you doing something, coach, review it, create that voiceover and send it back and have the conversation about it. And I just believe that a conversation around video could help athletes improve their skills, right? They can see it, they can hear the coach, they can see kind of the pinpoint feedback. So, Amy, obviously we have you on because you're one of our early adopters, coaches using OnForm quite a bit. And, it's fascinating to me in the pre-show just to hear you talk a little bit. I'd love to hear you talking about how do you use the app? What's your main kind of use cases, and how are your clients getting along with it?
So I set up 3 packages to start off with, just like a bronze, silver and gold. Because I was kind of having in mind that the people that I really wanted to be able to help were actually the people that I saw once a month, because they were, I only see them once a month, and it's really hard. And they always say, I wish you could come more, or I wish you could do more. And it's just really difficult because I didn't have any more time, and I can't be everywhere. So I thought that actually even something like a silver package, where I think they can do 8 videos on the bronze, 12, maybe more on the silver, and 20 on the gold. And they can send me each of those packages also include a test a month as well, because I think it's really important. Everybody wants a test looked at, and if they've already paid for a package, it's really handy just to be able to go, oh yeah, I've sent you this test. This happened at the weekend. Can you have a look at it? And I've got it. I can look at it before I see them at their next lesson or clinic. So yeah, that's what I initially did, and then I put it out on the app, and I had 2 fairly local people that took it up, one of which was one of my block bookers anyway, and then I had somebody on the Isle of Wight and somebody who is in one of my further away clinics, so 2.5 hours away, all of which I couldn't have access to during COVID anyway, but it was really interesting to have a range of people try it. And it had a massive impact, because I was slightly dubious of how much I'd be able to help them improve. And I'm really big on having sort of this, as athletes, they should be independent thinking and be able to be responsible for their own learning. And I was really worried in doing this that they would be too used to having me sort of in their ear and they wouldn't take responsibility for it. They'd be like, oh, I'll just send a video to Amy and she can tell me what to do. And actually, it's not been like that at all. It's been, they have completely, it's the opposite. It's flipped it. They've completely taken responsibility for their own learning. And because they're on a package, the accountability has made a big difference in the consistency in their training as well. So one of them actually has, I think, probably improved more than I've ever seen her and the horse go. And I haven't even seen her face to face yet. I'm looking forward to it because I'll be able to go next week. But it is, you know, it is amazing actually how much they have improved. And I know one of them has used it as a little bit like almost like a virtual journal, in that they have, you know, they have all the training videos there, and she will stand and listen to her videos just before she gets on, so it's fresh in her mind. And actually what's happened there is she's become more playful and experimental in her learning and how she goes about her training, because I'm not there correcting every movement. And then by the time she sent it back to me, she's already got the feedback and she sends that with the video, which is really cool.
That's so awesome. You touched on so many cool points there. And I got to hear a little bit more. Obviously, it's kind of a new way to do some things. So you're hesitant about how it might actually work. What were your clients like? Were they like, why are you, you know, how receptive were they when you came up with the idea of using this?
They were pretty, I mean, they had the choice. So I put it out and all 4 of them came forwards, and they were the only 4 that came forwards. Nobody else did. And there's like, you know, there's over 100 people on there, but they were the only 4 that came forwards. Which was great, because that meant I didn't have to like pick and choose or anything. And they actually, I think they all turned around and said, so I did a whole feedback form afterwards after we'd done the trial packages, and all of them said, I was very, very skeptical about how beneficial this would be, but it's been really good. And I think they all underestimated, and so did I, the benefit of being able to see what's happening whilst receiving feedback. So you can physically see what's going on as I'm talking them through it. And that, for me, actually made me think, well, I'm definitely going to carry this on, because this is a whole new learning experience. And actually, I've now put out a new package this last week, which is combining face-to-face lessons and video feedback, so that they don't need to have a lesson every week, but they can send me video feedback in between, and they're getting the benefit of both experiences. So if they are dubious, it's a nice way to invest without being all in. But yeah, generally now, I mean, I'm really glad I did the trial packages, because they can sell it, because they already have told me how good it is and how much they benefited from it. But yeah, I think we were all quite dubious. So
Sam,
go.
I was going to say, Sam, we've talked, it was not only going to help for remote coaching, but also when you're in person, that supplemental, watching the video that evening, being able to review it at will. That's actually happening. Did I kind of hear you talking about that? There are actually, you know, people are doing that. It's cool.
Yeah.
Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the whole, A, getting involved with OnForm, and then B, the world coming to a standstill. It really makes you deconstruct and think about how we train and how we improve, like what's required. And I just get more and more like surprised with how long this has taken, because a lot of coaching, I mean, when I started learning to ride, I had instructors, and you instruct, and it is like listening to sat nav, you know, turn left, turn right, sit up, heels down, do this. And just like the end of a car journey, when you've been driving with sat nav, if they said, right, you're going back to the beginning and do it without sat nav now, it's like, oh, I would have no idea. I don't know where I've gone. Did I really pass a McDonald's on the way? I didn't. Well, I probably would have noticed the McDonald's, but did I really pass some lovely architecture I didn't even notice? And we're not actually thinking and understanding about the whole dynamic of what's going on. And it's quite hard when you're in the moment. You know, you need some instruction. You need to get going. It's like when you first start driving a car, you know, you got driving instructors as well saying clutch, brake, steer, indicate. You need some of that hands-on to get going. But when you become a competitor, you're training for competition now. Like, and in competition, you don't have your coach there. So you've got to train in a way that prepares you to perform by yourself. And sometimes with a horse, all horse sports, you cannot, dressage is probably the closest to being able to plan for what you're going to do in competition, because there is a set test. But the flower pots move, the wind blows, the flags fly, the dressage judge turns on their windscreen wipers when they shouldn't. That's eventing anyway. So things change, and then you got to adapt. And so I think that where you almost become, you kind of go into consultancy mode, where you have your like, okay, there's some stuff I'm going to help you through, and we're going to get this done, and you're going to see what that feels like, and we're going to try and get you from A to B. But now we're going to go back, and we're going to try and go from A to B, and we're going to literally just sit back and watch what we did there, so that you can understand how it all worked, and get that perspective as well. And I think it's such a more powerful way of learning, you know. And initially when I started this, I was like, this is going to be great, exactly like you thought, for those once a month people, because instead of, I mean, there literally are people out there who might get 10 lessons a year, you know. That is, and that's the truth of it. And there's a lot of people. And what if we could just put in, you know, go from 1 hour a month to just putting in an extra kind of 5 minutes every third day, or whatever it is, just getting it in more frequently, getting that feedback in more frequently, and trying to do it more efficiently, you know, cutting out us having to fly from one country to another, them having to load up the horse box and steal their parents for an afternoon and drive to a lesson and do all that sort of stuff. So there were loads of it was around just making coaching easier, getting more access, trying to do it more regularly. But the longer I spend it OnForm, the longer I kind of experience it, and experience the detail. I'm like, this is the best way to actually understand performance and performance improvement. And it's very hard to, and I think it will be for anyone who starts getting on, it's going to be very hard to put it away and go, what you're saying, I now have to train, I can't watch myself anymore. We can't, you know, and I can't watch and listen to the feedback, because we're so used to riding, listening to the instructions. So we're feeling and listening. But then when we get to actually, you know, horses, whether we've just taken a break in the session, or it's post session or post competition, and you just get to actually digest and reflect and understand. I think it is, the analogy I make is one that loads of people make. It goes from sort of being given a fish to actually being given a fishing rod. You actually learn how to repeat that performance and get there more frequently. I've done like a whole sort of sales pitch there, but I was started off like you, going, this is just going to be convenient and easy. And now I'm thinking this has got to be in your training. It helps.
It's actually a better way to go about it, maybe.
That's it. A better way. Yeah. Let's not be shy.
Amy, I'm curious, you touched on it briefly when you were talking about how you use the app. Something I hear from coaches is they're worried about being too available to their clients. Like, oh my gosh, you mean they could text me at any time, or they could send me 300 videos? How have you found that in reality?
Fine, because I was also really worried about that. And I was a little bit like, oh God, you know, but actually I have, so through the Wix app, I have allocated, so basically made it like a class as such, and they can book in on that I basically have 2 hours allocated on Monday, 2 hours allocated on Friday. And they just book in, and then they send the videos on OnForm. And they know they're going to get their feedback that day, and that's when it's going to happen. Because obviously I still do a lot of face-to-face coaching, and I really want to be able to still compete and things like that. And that, for me, the whole, as much as I love my coaching, the whole reason I coach is because I want to ride. And I haven't got time to ride. It starts to take its effect a little bit. And actually, so I thought, well, actually, this is a really good way. I've got time, especially coming out of lockdown now, to go, right, I'm allocating those times. And it says the times that, you know, on Monday it's 12 till 2 and 5 till 7 on Friday. And it just means that those 2 hours are automatically blocked off in my calendar, so nobody else can book it. but they know when they're going to get their feedback and they know when they're booking it in for. I thought about maybe having it midweek instead of a Friday, but I think actually it works really well because Monday is after the weekend and Friday is just before the weekend. So if they've ridden in the week, they can send it in for Friday, and then they can actually, they've got the weekend to play with it if they're riding then.
Oh, very good. That. So my response to that is usually, well, it's all a matter of setting expectations. And you just described how you set expectations to your clients, whether it's a video app or it's a telephone. You just have to set expectations with your service levels and what your client can and can't do. So I think my point to that is that even though it's a new technology, maybe a new way to coach, all the same rules apply, for traditional means of doing these things too. You don't show up to your lesson 2 hours earlier and expect you to be there helping tack up the horse, right? You have a certain set time to do the thing. So similar, that's a great way to go about it.
Yeah, I like the tip though for disorganized people like me that's as helpful, I think, for the coach as it is for the client to actually go, I'm not like, in theory, it's like, oh, it's great. I'll have 10 minutes and I'll be able to quickly review. It doesn't, that's good to have that structure. I think that's really helpful. What do you find are like, what are the quick wins? What are you saying? Oh, what do you think if I could do more of that? Do you find like the test reviews very easy? Do you find like what are the types of things you do on OnForm that you like doing?
I really like having them sending in their weekly videos, or I've now from the feedback actually that I had from the trialers, we did it as a 4-week package and they said it was great, but it was quite intense because they had to do it and they were thinking ahead with competitions and stuff. So we extended it to 6 weeks. It's their responsibility to make sure their videos are sent in or there's enough of them. But they use it all. But I really like seeing the progress. I love that. And I absolutely love, and so do my client. The drawing tools are great and have been really, really useful. But being able to compare the videos is fab because particularly if they're on a package, I can send them their first video and their latest video. So when they're saying, I haven't progressed, it's getting worse, I'm like, just look at the video, just look. And, actually it's really cool because you can say like, what do you see here? What can you see? And 99% of the time they are not saying, oh, it is definitely getting worse. They're like, oh, actually the rhythm is much more consistent. They are much more into the contact. My position's way better. It is. But actually, if you think that happens in face-to-face coaching as well, but have the backup to prove that. And 99% of the time they just come in and they're like, yeah, actually that's really cool. Like, and I love to be able to show them, have that opportunity to show them that progress. And for me, it's been I see so many people once and they're like, oh, it'd be really good to have a lesson again. And then you never see them again because the dates never match up. And then 6 months later they reappear. So, if they can have a lesson and then go on to a video analysis package, I can still offer them that support, even if it's only for a certain amount of time.
That compare thing. When I think back to all of the times I've had coaches shouting at me and the left hand just keeps coming up and it becomes a joke, I'm like joking going, oh, left hand's moving around again. And then I think I'm keeping it still. And then every time I started uploading videos, which brings me on to probably the hardest thing to get used to, actually from an athlete point of view with OnForm, every time I uploaded those videos, like, damn, my left hand really does move around way more than I think it does. And that that actually helps it to just go from being told what to do and kind of like when my mother used to tell me to, wash up the dishes after a meal or something like that. And you just get very good at managing to, selective hearing, I think they call it. But that seeing is believing thing does help you. And then, so not only you've got that sort of raising awareness of the issue and kind of owning it, going, okay, yeah, she's not just saying it to annoy me. And she's not just saying it for the sake of saying it. I can see it. And then that actual satisfaction and that kind of evidence-based feedback going, okay, look at the difference and look at what it does for the horse's outline, like what it does for the horse's rhythm, the horse's straightness. So that what I was going to ask you now is, because for me, what actually was quite hard was I'd get a video and I go, oh, I don't want to send that one because I'm doing this wrong. Do you know? And that was the first thing, that actually seeing the videos was nearly sometimes a little bit like getting on the weighing scales in the morning. You know, if you're like, oh, I don't know, but then you've got to realize that it is just a picture of where you are, and the great thing is making it better. And that is what we want to do. There's no point hiding it. There's no point hiding the facts. We are where we are. Let's make it better. Let's find out a way to make it better. Because if you just think that video is not going to get better if you don't do anything about it. So if you take a video on a Tuesday, look at it and go, oh, I don't want to send that to Amy because it doesn't look very good. It's probably not going to be much better by Friday until you send it to Amy and you guys can start working on it.
Yeah.
Are people hesitant?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Are people hesitant to send some videos sometime like that? They're too critical?
To start off with, they were. And I actually had somebody who sent me a video, and she was like, oh my God, this video is awful. And it was good because, and I think it's the same when you're doing your face-to-face, you've got to create that sort of psychologically safe environment that they're not afraid to make a mistake. And once you've built up that rapport and they feel that they can do that, suddenly you get loads of rubbish videos. But that's what I want to see. You know, it's nice to see the good stuff, but if they're struggling behind the scenes, what's the point in having the feedback? You know, I can tell them they're great all day and it's all looking brilliant, but if I don't see the bad stuff, I can't help them with it. And I think they've got to create that opportunity for themselves by sending me that. And I actually had one of my clients last week say that, she said, oh, this video is awful, but this actually is what happens. And I was like, great, that's what I want to see, because, and you know, it was easily correctable. But had she not sent it to me, she probably would have gone on for ages like that.
Yeah. I think I've heard this same thing before from various coaches about people don't necessarily want to see themselves and face the fact that maybe they're not as good as they think they are, or, oh, I'm embarrassed to send a video. And my response is often, you have to address what is, you know, what is. And then in a month or two, when you use that video to compare to where you are today, think of the amazing progress you're going to have. There's no better motivator than getting better. So I remind them that the future is you're going to be able to look back at that and see how far you've progressed, which is, you know, another one of the things that I love about the platform, to be able to demonstrate.
Amy, anything that we could do better? Anything that's on the app that you're thinking, oh, it would be great if you could do this?
No, believe it or not at the moment, I don't think so. I mean, I still think I'm still learning how to do it like quickly and efficiently and like on point. But one of my clients said, you're so slick on it. I was like, really? But I think you just get used to using it. The tools are really easy to use. So I think once you've had a play around, then you're fine, and you get better at using it. You get quicker at drawing stuff on and then taking it off as the video moves when it's not relevant. And you know, all of that stuff's really useful. So yeah, no, not at the moment. I think it's good.
Cool. We have a question from a viewer that's asking about, they said, is the quality of the videos provided by your clients ever an issue with your understanding of what is going on? And I think what they mean by quality is, maybe, is it too far away? It's not necessarily the HD resolution of the camera, but is it, you know, it's at a weird angle, or it's too fuzzy or something like that?
We've had all sorts. And to be honest, all of them have been completely manageable. I even had one client send me a video the other day, and she was mortified because she got her husband to film it because her camera pivot was broken, and he was on a conference call and she didn't realise. So I got the whole conference call while she was riding, but it didn't matter because when I sent it back, I just turned the volume down and it was fine.
Yeah.
It made no difference to the feedback she got, and you know, it didn't affect it. So yeah, I mean, obviously it being closer is better, but it's completely manageable. I mean, things like leg yields and shoulder ins and things like that, it might be good to have a discussion about where you film them from, depending on what they're struggling with, and if it's kind of in their plan. I had somebody that was starting to teach their horse shoulder in, and I said, I think if you're going to do that, because two of the packages contain like a Zoom meeting. So we make a plan of what we're going to do and things like that. And we'd done that. And I said, if you're going to film shoulder in, can you please do it from behind and in front because of the 3 tracks? And I think she thought I was a bit mad. But actually then when I sent it back, she was like, oh yeah, no, I really see that, because I could draw the 3 tracks when the horse was on it and when it wasn't. And it
cool.
just emphasizes it. But again, it's like you said, it's just the communication.
Cool. Now, we call it a video analysis and coaching platform. I'm curious, have you used it in a prescriptive manner besides just analyzing video? Have you prescribed a workout?
Work in progress. So because I've only recently gone back to face-to-face coaching, so that this next month will be, when I can really introduce it to people properly. But it's what I have done is, so I have a loyalty club, so people pay £10 a month, they get 10% discount off all my services, and they also get 4 minutes free video analysis, because at this point I kind of feel like once they've seen it, then you've got to get them on board. So you've got to give them a reason to want to do it. And if they use their 4 minutes, then suddenly, I had somebody the other day who was like, she's like, oh, can you look at this video for me? I was like, I tell you what, just join the loyalty club, you get it for free, jobs are good. And then she was like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. And it just, you're getting them on board. So, but I think definitely it will go that way, because particularly for my theorist type learners, because they like to know the detail, they like to see the detail. So actually, in a lesson the other day, again, that was in Shoulder and somebody else, and I did exactly that. I said, look, I've got my iPhone on me. She was already on form because she'd had a test analysis. But I said, look, I'm going to send you these videos from your lesson, so you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, literally, she sent me a message the next morning and was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Now I can see it. I totally know what you mean. And that's it. All it's done is backed up that learning.
Cool. On that communication side, oh, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I was going to say, just model coach so many of those things that we're talking about, not being afraid to do that kind of taster video so that people can get a feel for it. I think one little tip for people as well, if you haven't tried it, we've talked obviously about the comparison where you can look at 2 videos side by side. When you're in that feature in OnForm, there's also an overlay, but for that to work really well, you want to be videoing from the same spot. So if you're going to compare 2 shoulder ins, you can actually overlay. So you literally have 2 horses coming towards you and you can see the difference, but just make sure that you're filming from the same spot, because then it fits really nicely. So that's a tool tip for viewers and users. Me trying to be helpful as we draw it to a close. Gary, do you want any other questions you want to fire?
No, I mean, there's plenty more tips and things like that, I'm sure, as you use it more and more, that we'll try and collect and put out over social media and blog posts and things like that. But it's been so cool to hear you using it for real. It's exactly, how we had sort of envisioned it, to improve accountability, to help the coach extend their reach, to get your athletes get better access to you, not just more, but, improved quality feedback. So it's really cool to hear. We're very early in our journey with this, and I appreciate you coming on, Amy. It's been fun to talk about it.
That's right. No worries.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Gear. Thank you, listeners, viewers. We've been back in our regular slot of Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. for anyone who is tuned in to watch us live. It is great when you do, because then you can fire those questions at us and we can answer them. There is one last question. Amy, generally what sort of length of video do you deal with? Do you try and get people to break things down into shorter videos, or do you do kind of longer sessions?
Ideally, we try and work around 2 minutes. Originally, when we trialed it, the people on the gold package were allowed 10 minutes a week, so they would send me 2 5-minute videos. But it's a lot of breaking down, and to be honest, now they're on the longer packages, it's easier and more specific for them to send sort of 2-minute videos. Yeah,
I've been encouraging that as well. I think, and it's actually, again, the benefit I find as a rider, if the goal is it's amazing what you can fit into 1 minute. If you're doing that lateral work, or you're doing something, and even breaking down right rein versus left rein, it becomes, and this is what we've done a show on purposeful practice, but breaking it down and really thinking about that deliverable, that outcome that you want, that training goal, the more specific and the more simple it is, and breaking it down is a huge advantage. So I would definitely say, shorter videos, because you just get the quality as well. Quality of feedback is good. Okay, Amy, Gear, thank you very much. Viewers and listeners, thank you very much. Take 2 of a wrapped from Sam. We will see you all in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully, stay safe. And and if you're getting back going again, perfect opportunity as you get back in the ring. Get those videos on camera. Send them off to your coaches, and maybe you've been inspired to get in touch with Amy as well and try and send her a video as well as you get going again. So enjoy, everyone, and we'll speak to you soon.